Hi, students, you are all requested to please mute yourself and maintain the decorum of the session. Thank you.
అప్పటి నుంచి అంటాడు వీడు చక్కగా వినపడతలేదు అన్నయ్య.
Shrutimita, can we wait for 2 more minutes? Students are still joining in, and at 7:05 we can start. I hope that is fine with you. Hello. Hi, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am.
Uh, shall we start the session? Am I audible? Hello.
Hi, Shweta. I'm unmuted now.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible?
Yes, you are. I hope you can see and hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. Am I audible to you?
Ma'am.
Yes, you are, Shweta.
You are still on mute. I mean, I have unmuted you.
Yeah. Am I audible to
Yes,
everyone?
yes, you are audible.
Yes, ma'am.
I hope you can see and hear me.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we can see and hear you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Am I audible to you?
Ma'am.
Yes, you are.
Yes, ma'am.
You're still on mute. I mean, I have unmuted you.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Shweta?
We can see and hear you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
Am I audible?
ఏది
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Shrutimita ma'am, for actually taking out the time and joining in. The students are super excited. You can see the number growing in. They are still joining in after finishing their classes. So, students, a very warm good evening. After a long time, I've been.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so
seeing
much,
you.
Shrutimita. Thank you so much, Shrutimita.
Some Okay. So we shall start the session, and I'll like to give a brief introduction about our speaker today. I would like you all to actually just put in the chat box hello
Thank you so much,
to Shrutimita ma'am. She has over a decade of
So
experience
we
in
should
the
start the
C
session, and I'll like to give a
in
brief introduction about
contract research
I would like
organizations,
you
and
all
she
to
has earned
actually
a
just
master's
put
in
in the
biostatistics
chat box, hello.
from Maharaja Sayaji Rao
She has
University
over
of
a
Baroda,
decade of experience in this
and
session,
has
and
been a
I'd
driving
like
force
to
in
give
the
an
field
introduction
for
about contract
since
research.
2012.
I'd
Currently, she's
like
serving
you
as
all
the
to
principal
actually
statistician at
just
Zimbio,
put in
a
the
US-based
chat box,
CRO.
hello.
She embraces lifelong learning and is passionate about guiding
Ma'am,
students.
it's not clear, ma'am.
Ma'am, your voice is
Ma'am,
getting overheard.
ma'am, your voice is echoing in a lot.
Echoing.
Ma'am,
Your voice is echoing.
Yes.
We can't able
Just
to
give me
hear
a
you.
moment. I don't know why it is happening. A moment, please. I'm so
Ma'am, your
sorry.
voice
Shweta, I would just like to step in and ask the students if it is the same case with me, if you're able to uh, listen to my voice clearly, or
yes, ma'am. Your voice is clear, ma'am. No
Your voice is
issues.
clear. Yes, ma'am. Your voice is clear.
Am I audible now? Am I still echoing? Is my voice still echoing?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, now it's
It's
fine.
fine now.
Yes. Okay,
It's
some
okay.
technical glitch. I'm so sorry and apologies. Quickly, I'd like to again, if Shrutimita ma'am allows me, I would like to introduce her.
please,
Ma'am, may I?
yes, please go ahead.
All right, just a moment. So students, I mean, Shruti Mehta ma'am, actually the students have been waiting for a long time for a session with a biostatistician expert. And students, please extend a warm welcome to ma'am. She has taken out time from her busy schedule to share her experiences with you, specifically in the field of biostatistics, which is upcoming and a very enterprising field wherein you can have a bright future ahead. So, a little brief about Shrutimita. I mean, she has over a decade year of experience working with CROs, and she has a master's in biostatistics from University of Baroda, and has been a driving force in the field since 2012. And currently, she is serving as a principal statistician at Symbio, a US based CRO. She embraces a lifelong learning and is passionate about guiding students in exploring diverse career path in research and statistics. So, a very warm welcome, ma'am. And also, students, I think that a lot of you might not be aware. Shrutimita ma'am is also one of the members of our academic advisory board. And Thank you so much, ma'am. All yours. Without any further ado, I mean the platform is all yours, and we can start. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Shweta. So, greetings, everyone, and I'm so thankful for all of you. I can see approximately 232 people who have taken time to listen to me. I am humbled and I'm grateful for you all to take out your time to listen to me today. And first of all, thank you to Clini Launch for giving me this platform to speak to you people who are like, the upcoming talent in the industry. And it gives me a great pleasure to actually interact with you people. And with today's session, I'm hopeful to have a two-way discussion. I don't want it to be just me firing out some information to you. I would very much want it to be an interactive session. And my objective for today's session, as you see, is that, I hope after today's session, after this 1 hour that we spent together, I hope that you walk away with the clarity that what you can do to enhance your own career trajectory. So with that, I will be sharing my presentation that I will be using to, go through the points. Let me know once you can see my screen. I hope it is visible.
Yes,
Then-
ma'am.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am. It's visible.
Great. Okay. So, I just want to start with one thing, that all of us are unique, and the knowledge that we have, the talent we have, it is all unique. So, the career trajectory or the career path that we are going to have for ourselves, it can never be replicated. So it can never be something that you can replicate of someone, because our experiences, our uh, where we work, what type of circumstances we face, or what type of people we interact with, it is all going to be different. So although it is going to be different, but there are few core things that are always going to remain the same. That is when it comes to our technical knowledge as well as soft skills, sorry, not software. Software is also very important, but our technical knowledge and our soft skills. So keeping that in mind, I would like to start today's topic. And as you know, that today's topic is pathways in biostatistics from academia to industry. So I would like to open the platform, and one by one, just, by maintaining the decorum of this, I would say that this is a classroom because we are having this kind of discussion. So just imagine that we are having a tete-a-tete between us, and you are telling me that how did you come across biostatistics? And then I will share my experience with you, because biostatistics is a very, very niche kind of subject. It is not something that everyone is aware of, and I was not aware of it. So I just stumbled on biostatistics really. So I would open the floor, and any one of you can just tell me that how you came across biostatistics as a subject, and what do you, want to achieve from it. Over to you.
Ma'am, actually, I had done BTech in biotechnology, and during my last year project, we have to do some experiments and all. And I think during those times, it was the first time that I came across this term of biostatistics. Before that, I was not knowing that a field like that even existed also. So I felt embarrassed that I don't know those things and all. Then I had gone through some books and some web resources and all, and just learned some basics. Yeah, that's it. My experience with biostatistics.
Thank you so much, Anga, for sharing your story. And I think that none of us should ever be embarrassed about anything. I think that the best thing that, that is there is to learn each day. You keep on learning new things. So anyone else, how did you stumble across, or how did you get to know about biostatistics?
Hi, ma'am. I'm a dentist.
Hi,
So
Sandhya.
during my bachelor's, it was in public health dentistry. There was a subject where we went into research methodology. There was biostatistics. So it was a little difficult task for us initially, but later on we got to know some tricks and to memorize few things in that. And
Okay.
again, in my master's, we had to do some research. So during that time, we only had to apply all the formulas and things. So it's very vast, as you told.
Okay. So, anyone from statistics background, like who has got a bachelor's in statistics and a master's in statistics in this chat room, who would like to share their story about how they got to know about biostatistics?
Good evening, ma'am. Myself, Deepika. So, I have done my graduation in microbiology, and I have one of my SEM had biostatistics. Particularly in my SEM, there is a subject called biostatistics. So, I have gone through like basics of biostatistics, the mean, median, and all those formulas, how we have to apply, in what condition we have to apply. So, I
Okay.
have gone through the basics of biostatistics.
Okay, great. So, So coming back, I would like to share my story with you. So I think it is pretty much similar to Anga, Sandhya, and Deepika. So what happened is that I was doing my bachelor's in public health, and we had these kind of, data related to public health policies of the government of India, where we had to collect the data and we had to analyze it to see whether the program that is being conducted, like, midday meal and Anganwadis for pediatric nutrition and things like that, whether it is having some sort of impact, whether what the government is doing is having some impact. So in every semester, we had some sort of work like thesis, where we had to collect the data, we had to analyze it, interpret it, and give a sort of presentation to our HOD. And we used to call a lot of people from our, from the government and from municipality and those sort of smaller units of the government to come and listen to our kind of presentation and what we are presenting, how these things are helpful. So while I was doing all that work, I actually it kind of biostatistics happened to me because I was so much interested that, okay, this is the kind of data that is being collected in public health. I used to go to a lot of doctors, I used to go to a lot of epidemiologists, and used to understand that what is the disease, what is the indication, what are they working for, how the government is helping, and then we used to apply some sort of statistics for it. So after I got done with my bachelor's in public health, I thought that I really wanted to do something in terms of enhancing my analytical skills when it comes to public health data or biological data. So that is how it happened to me. It is pretty much similar to most of the people over here. So,
Hello.
hi. Hi, Trishul.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe we can.
Okay. So, just a disclaimer that the views and opinions over here are mine own. It is not the perspective of anyone else. And if there's some annotation going on the screen, so if you could just control that, please. Thank you.
Yes, it's good. The disclaimer is happening.
No, I can see some annotation actually.
Just a moment, ma'am.
Never mind, Shweta, I'll just continue. So, yeah. So my journey as a biostatistician, as I said, that I stumbled across biostatistics. So I took biostatistics as my master's in MS University of Baroda. Now, I was lucky to have been enrolled in such a niche course, which actually involves statistics and its application into biology. I studied design of experiments. I studied clinical trials, bioavailability and bioequivalence, and SAS as a compulsory double credit subject during my time in MS University for my MSc Biostatistics. So not only was SAS compulsory, but we had to do all our projects and everything on SAS. And thankfully, my university had a licensed version of SAS. Apart from that, we were also encouraged to use R and SPSS because those was open source uh, resources that were available for data analysis. So right after I completed my master's in biostatistics, I was lucky enough to get campus placed in Max Neiman International, which is a CRO, and it is Delhi based. And since then, I have been working in the CRO industry. And today in this session, I will be strictly speaking about the CRO and the pharmaceutical industry because that is where my experience lies. So I'm not very well versed with other fields as well. I'm sure there are other fields that involve biostatistical involvement, but I will limit my communication to only CRO and pharma. So you can go ahead and look up for my information on LinkedIn, and I will not go too much detail into who am I and what I do. So as we know that biostatistics is a science that bridges statistics into biology. So it is basically an application of statistics into biology. Now, there are several fields such as medicine, public health, genetics, epidemiology that have these application of biostatistics. Now, some of the key areas are like designing of experiments, analyzing medical data, interpreting the results for decision makings. These are some of the key things that the biostatistician has to work on. And the importance is that it helps us in understanding the disease patterns, the clinical trials, and the treatment effectiveness. Okay. So now I would just like to talk a little bit about the transition of biostatistics academics to industry. So when we are talking particularly about pharmaceutical sciences or about CROs, there are often some gaps that we have observed. So as my career advanced and I got into hiring, like I was taking interviews of, freshers who had just come out after doing masters or MPhil. So whenever I used to have an interaction with them for hiring purpose, I used to always feel that there is a gap in understanding that what a person is applying for. So say you are a BSc statistics or MSc statistics person. So when a person who has just graduated is going into the industry, going for an interview, so if that person is not doing some sort of background, homework, that what they are applying for, what are the key things that this industry does, it becomes very difficult for the person, for the hirer, for the hiring manager to actually really, pick those people out from the academic institutes and give them a chance to be in the industry. So one of the things that I think that is very, very crucial is to fill the gaps between the academics and the industry requirement. Now, this is also a gap that can be filled by many things, such as enrolling yourselves into a professional course, doing some sort of online training, getting certifications, and also self-study. So, like I will give you some examples. So, generally, the academic institutions are heavily focused on statistical theory, mathematical derivations, and probability distributions. Now, let me make something clear that when we are talking about pharmaceutical industry or when we are talking about CRO, so these industries are heavily regulated industries. And it is a regulatory requirement for a statistician who's involved in pharmaceutical or CRO industry to have a minimum of Masters of Statistics or PhD of Statistics degree. So if you want to be a biostatistician, you must have a degree in Masters in Statistics or Biostatistics or PhD in Statistics. So that is something that is very much necessary. Now, while I was studying, I had this opportunity to be, enrolled into biostatistics. That is again a very, very niche kind of subject, and that's why I was lucky to have like design of experiments, clinical trials, SAS as a subject, R, SPSS, and things like that. But in India, we are not seeing that there are a lot of biostatistical like courses offered by the university. There are very few universities that offer MSc in biostatistics. That's why people who are coming from the statistics background, they are heavily focused on the statistical theory, like probability distribution, Bayesian probability, frequentist, mathematical derivations, and statistical inferential knowledge of statistics and things like that. Whereas what the industry actually requires is that you should have that understanding that how you are going to apply that the statistics that you are learning into the real world clinical trials. So for an example, suppose you are doing some sort of analysis on say if there are two treatments, okay, treatment A and treatment B, and you want to say that what is the difference between them. So a statistician should be able to understand that what is the requirement, what we are trying to do, and what type of tests we should be able to apply. There we are not going to go into the mathematical derivations, but to have an understanding that given a problem, given a real world problem, what we are going to apply, and to understand that how the regulatory compliance and the drug development works. So when we are talking about pharmaceutical sciences, when we are talking about the CRO, we really have to understand that how the drug development happens, what is the involvement of a statisticians, and how it progresses to when the drug is actually readily available in the market. Now, what could be the solutions to it? So I understand that when we are studying, there is hardly like any hands-on experience when we are working when we are studying in a university kind of environment. So what we can do is that we can get into like some courses, we can do some, additional professional courses that can help us enhance our knowledge. So say if you are doing a bachelor's of statistics or master's of statistics from a particular university, which do not offer you a coursework on drug development, on design of experiments, on clinical trials, bioequivalence, bioavailability, SAS, SPSSR, Python, things like that. Now the world has, the information is in your hands. You can easily enroll yourselves into courses that will give you a guided kind of experience into understanding these topics that used to look very alienated and foreign. But now with so much of information and so many opportunities because of the internet, it is something that you can easily do. So that is about the practical versus the theoretical knowledge. It is very important to have practical knowledge and also to have hands-on experience. Like I'll also give you an example. Suppose if you're still a student and if you're still doing your bachelor's or a master's in statistics, or if some other subject also, like, I think Angha, Sandhya and Deepika said that were doing something related to biotechnology, dentistry and things like that. But what they did is that they involved that biostatistics while doing their, project work, while studying the biological data, they involved the statistical methodologies. So this kind of gives you the real, hands-on experience while you're working with data sets and what type of, statistical techniques you can do. So moving on, next is regulatory and compliance knowledge. Now it is something, as I said before, that our industry, that is like, the CRO and the pharmaceutical industry, as you know, we are dealing with data coming from humans, okay? So we are doing drug development processes, we are going through clinical trials, we are doing experiments on humans to test our drug, which is under development, okay? So there are so many regulatory guidelines that are very stringent, and ethics committee and, ethical guidelines that really, really, tie up the clinical trial process and everything that goes along with it in such a way that each and every member who is a part of the clinical trial or a pharmaceutical industry has to follow those things. So when a person who's studying statistics or is aspiring to be a statistician does not, in an academic setup, does not get, exposure to the regulatory requirements or has got minimal exposure. So again, I was very, very lucky while I was studying MSc Biostatistics, because I got that opportunity to, it was a part of my coursework to go through the ICH E3, E6 and E9, guidelines, which are for clinical trials. So and then I had other people who were studying with me, but they were in core statistics. But since they were interested in, developing themselves as a statistician, or were interested in this sort of industry, they went ahead and did the same thing that we did, like, getting exposing themselves to these types of industry requirements, like, the regulatory guidelines, understanding the FDA and EMA regulations. So, like understanding that, suppose when we are statisticians, everything is about data, right? We get the data, we do analysis onto it, whether we are, biostatisticians, whether we are just, data analysts, or we are data scientists, or whether we are market researchers, or we are actuarial scientists. So as far as mathematics and statistics is going to go, there is always going to be data involved. But how these data standards are being regulated when we are working into clinical trials, having that understanding is very important. So again, the solution is to take online courses, be curious, try to learn new things. There are so many options, even as a statistician, there are several options. Now, what type of statistician you want to be, it is up to you. So if you want to be a biostatistician, I think that to have that practical knowledge and to have that regulatory and compliance knowledge is something that will always set you apart from the other people who are, studying with you or applying for the same job, or, trying to get into the industry. It will put you on the edge. So any questions right now for the first 2 points? Okay, I take that as a
Good
no.
evening.
Yes, Kavya.
I'm Kavya, and I've taken up advanced diploma in clinical SAS programming at CLRI.
Okay.
My question to you is that now you were mentioning about having done all your projects with SAS. So now that all the AI has taken over everything, I want to know how valuable is SAS and what is the scope going ahead in current date in clinical data analysis?
Sure. So, Kavya, still that, the regulatory submissions for EMA and US FDA are still going through SAS only, and SAS, and that too, in which are compliant to CDISC standards. So, since this is a licensed version, that's why most of the sponsors and the regulatory also have a lot of faith in using SAS programming and the CDISC standards. Now, going forward, I'm sure that there is going to be a shift into the industry, and we are already seeing that the R programming is something, R programming, Python is something that is upcoming. But I would still say that having that knowledge of SAS is always going to be a very good base work for you. As far as your question for AI is coming, I think that I myself on a day-to-day basis, whenever I want to use some sort of I want to model something like in statistic, if I'm doing some sort of analysis and I want to put a code together and I want to put a model together, what I do is generally I use these AI platforms and I give my input that what exactly I want to, what type of data it is, what type of model I want to fit, and what could be my options, So that is what AI can help you, but AI cannot help you if you do not have the base knowledge. So,
Okay.
I think that having knowledge, having the core knowledge is very important, because I think that you cannot 100% rely on AI also. You should be able to interpret it, that what it is giving you, because at the end of the day, human intelligence is important when we are trying to interpret a particular problem.
Okay. And what other tool do you suggest we equip ourselves with if we want to step into clinical data analysis as a career path?
So I think that you should always start with SAS, because I think SAS is not going to go away immediately. It is still, it is a regulatory, requirement. SAS, R, and Python are the three things that you should, get hands-on knowledge on. And I think that it should keep you up to date. And I think that, as I said, that ours is a very, very regulated kind of industry. So you have to keep on reading the new guidelines that keep on coming, keep on updating all the time. So maybe if I tell you something today, it might get obsolete after 2 years. So I think that it is a job of a data scientist that too, when it comes to, clinical trials and pharmaceutical sciences, to always keep on updating yourselves about the current and the best practices that are there in the industry.
Okay. And ma'am, one last question. What kind of job roles do you see that closely associate with biostatistics? One I know would be data analysis, because that's crucial for biostatistics. What other job roles do you think we can apply for if we want to proceed in this career path?
So, see, data analyst is a very, very wide term. You
Okay.
cannot, like, data analyst can be in banking, it can be in aviation, it can be
Clinical
in,
data analysis, ma'am, to be
So,
particular.
yeah, so clinical data analysis is something that, it would be more of a data management thing. But I think that as we go further in the session, you will understand that how biostatistics, how the knowledge of statistics and the statistical tools and the programming languages, how it kind of interlinks between the different departments, and how a person who's aiming to, gets forward with some sort of data analysis role where a person can see themselves. So I think that the answer to your question will come in the other slides.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you very much.
No worries. Okay. So I'm moving on to the next slide in the interest of time.
Ma'am, good evening, ma'am.
Yes, Anantaraj.
Ma'am, I'm Anand Rashwan. I did my BTech in biotechnology, ma'am, in 2023, passed out. Ma'am, do we have chances in biostatistics enroll? Like,
So, Anand, as I said, that it is a regulatory requirement actually. For if you want to work as a biostatistician in our industry, like clinical trials and the what do you call pharmaceutical industry, it is a requirement that you have to have a master's in statistics or biostatistics or a PhD in statistics. But since you have a BTech in biotechnology, and what are you learning right now? What skill are you taking from Clini Launch? What have you enrolled yourself for?
ma'am, I have enrolled in. I have completed almost actually advanced diploma in bioinformatics.
In bioinformatics, okay. So see, the thing is that being a person who has got that sort of knowledge between, you have got knowledge and you know the best of both worlds, that is the biology as well, and technology as well. So you can actually kind of collate those things and get yourselves involved when it comes to clinical trials as a person who is into data management, because it is something that uses both technology and your knowledge into of biology. Or you can be easily launched as a person who is a programmer, be it a statistical programmer, SAS programmer, R programmer, because I think that there is a myth that the R programmer, SAS programmer, Python programmer, they do not need to understand the biological data. I think that it is very, very important. It is I think that's something that sets the programmers apart, gives the programmers edge, is always that when they have a knowledge about the data, when they understand the data, and then they apply the programming skills. So like with you, Anantraj, I think that a shot into data management or statistical programming or programming would be a very great career path for you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So moving ahead, so like I said, that programming and software, I think that when I was trying to speak about the soft skills, I made a mistake and started talking about software. So it goes without saying that software proficiency is very, very important when it comes to biostatistics, because see, when we are talking about pharmaceutical sciences, when we are talking about clinical trial data, it is a huge, huge data. It's not something that is like, only 3-4 data sets with, maybe 40 or 50 participants. It is a very huge data. And obviously, when you're trying to analyze such a huge data, you cannot use something which is as simple as using like Excel, which we used to generally do in our, bachelor's projects or master's projects. So here we have to understand that when we are coming out of the academic zone and trying to launch ourselves in the industry, we have to understand that now we are now dealing with the real world data. So suppose I'll give you an example. If a student was doing some sort of project work on the COVID cases, okay, so that person took a sample of 50 and did some sort of analysis in like Excel, okay, or SPSS. Now imagine that the government or some sort of medical institute or AIMS is doing some sort of analysis on the COVID cases, okay. Even if it is a simple city, forget about nations, forget about state. Even if it is about a city, there's a huge magnitude of data. Similarly, in clinical trials, there are so many various things that are being assessed, coming from demography, what is the age, gender, the race, ethnicity, to going on to lab. In lab also, there are several things: urine analysis, hematology, and serum chemistry, and things like that. And then there are so many things that are being, collected, and data management manages that data, and then it is given to the statisticians who try to put some sort of statistical technique to derive the results for that sort of clinical trial. So it is very, very important for a statistician to have awareness or proficiency in at least one of the what do you call software that is being used in the industry. So I will say that as you are starting, or if you are trying to make yourself launch into the industry, then I would say that at least you should know R or you should know SAS. At least that is the minimum requirement for you to make sense of what is being done in the back end. So industry requirement, as I said, is that SAS is widely used in the clinical trial. SQL is for database handling. And that is always an additional thing, if you have that understanding for SQL. And I think that if you have a SAS certification like base SAS, and you gain experience into the CDIS compliant data set, it is always an added benefit to your career path. So that is something that people should look forward to, and at least try to gain some sort of experience. Even if you're not getting certified right away, but at least try to understand that why and how these softwares are being used. Next is data standards and management. So in academics, we generally see that, there's a lot of focus on the raw data sets. Like suppose if you say that, even if you're doing some sort of project work when you're in academics, where you're doing your bachelor's or master's, or even like, you're doing some sort of project work in an educational institute. So what you're doing is that you're just taking out the data from like some sort of online platform, and you're just downloading the Excel sheet, and then you're creating some sort of charts or some sort of analysis you're doing on it using some statistical techniques. But you have to understand that in industry we are not working with raw data. Suppose if there is a participant enrollment of 100 people. Okay, now the data from those 100 people is coming, but the data is not being used as it is. It is being converted into a CDIS compliant data set, which is a standard that the regulatories are using, so that all the clinical trials that are being done, they are going to be done on that particular standard. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Like if there is no standard and people are just working with the raw data, then it becomes very, very difficult for people to actually make sense of it and to derive the right results out of it. So I think that to understand, the solution is to work with CGS compliant projects and data sets to understand regulatory expectations. So next is communication and collaboration skill. So in academic, generally what happens is that people are doing their solo projects. So suppose if you're doing your dissertation or you're doing your some sort of project work for your semester, so you're doing a lot of individual work. But you have to understand that in industry, the way biostatisticians are placed, in the drug development process, it is somewhere in the middle. So suppose there are, medical writers, regulatory, and there are, what do you call, sponsors. Sponsors meaning the companies who give us the work, like pharmaceutical companies. Then there are medical monitors, site personnel, CRAs, CTAs. Then there are data management people. Then there are, after all that happens, then there's biostatistics in between. And then after that, there is statistical programming, there's medical writing again. And, it is placed in the between. So a biostatistician has to have the capability to work with all the departments that are, in the process of the drug development. So this is not a solo project. When we are working in the industry, a biostatistician has to work with various departments. So suppose I will give you an example. So I'm a statistician, I'm working on an end-to-end like trial. So end-to-end trial means that my company does protocol development to CSR. Okay, CSR is the clinical study report. So which gets published for any clinical trial, which kind of says what are the key results of the clinical trial. Okay. So now my job starts with, the medical writers when they are kind of, or, the regulatory team when they are trying to build up a protocol. Then I start working with the data management to create a case report form that they are going to use for the, for the clinical trial. Then I start working towards like creating a statistical analysis plan. Okay, now I have got a protocol. Protocol mean a set rules for conducting a clinical trial. And then I will work, okay, this is the kind of data that is going to be collected, how I am going to analyze it. That all of those processes, everything I will mention in a statistical analysis plan. Now, all these things, like all these documents that I have mentioned, protocol, CRF, your SAP, all these things are bind by the regulatory expectations. So it is something that we have to follow the regulatory expectations and the guidelines that are there to create these things. Now, after creating the statistical analysis plan, I have to work with the programmers to make them understand that how this data is going to work and how we are going to apply these, statistical techniques into it. Once they understand it, they would create the outputs, like, they would analyze, they would use the techniques that I have mentioned and create outputs of those things that I will review and pass on to the medical writers. So you can understand that my job is in between and I have to work with an entire plethora of different departments actually. So I think that one of the key skills that we forget, working when we are developing ourselves as a statistician or a biostatistician, is that we think that it is a solo project, which is not, because we have to understand that we have to work with interdisciplinary teams like clinicians, data managers, regulators, and develop soft skills, because we have to make people understand statistical things in a very simple language. Okay. We may understand that what is confidence interval, we may understand that what is p-value, but if you go to a non-statistician, or if I go to any doctor and I say that, okay, the p-value is, it says that it is significant, they will not understand it. Or if I tell them about the probability, they will not understand it. So having the soft skill to communicate and converse in a way with different departments so that your technical knowledge is being converted into simple language, so that all the people who are there in the team with you are able to grasp that knowledge. So that is also very important when you are moving from academic to industry. So any questions on this slide?
Yes, ma'am. Good evening. My name is Madhuri.
Hi, Madhuri.
I have completed MSc in biotechnology and currently working as an inventory coordinator for Herb Lab. So my question is, the job that I'm currently doing, that will be considered as an experience as I'm coordinating there. So these collaboration skills and communication skills will be developed with that job. So
yes. So I think that no matter what we do, like, since you said that I'm sorry, can you repeat what is your educational background?
MSc Biotechnology, ma'am.
So yes, so you are MSc Biotech, and what do you aspire to be in the clinical research or pharmaceutical industry?
I'm like clinical industry. I'm more
Okay, what do
interested.
you aspire? What do you aspire to
കിറു
be?
കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ ഒരേപോലത്തെ സാധനങ്ങളാ വരുന്നത്. അത് മായ്ക്കണം. കിറു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ നമുക്ക് പിന്നെ ഒരേപോലത്തെ സാധനങ്ങൾ വരും അല്ലെ? കിറു എല്ലാത്തിന്റെയും ഹ്രസ്വവും ദീർഘവും ഹ്രസ്വവും ദീർഘമായിട്ട് വരും.
Hi, may I please request you to mute your mic?
ചോക്ക് ഒടിക്കും അങ്ങോട്ട്. ആടെ ഇരുന്ന് കളിക്കുക, അതിനകത്തോട്ട് ഇട്ട് കളിക്കും.
Dr. Sandhya Kiran? Okay. Yes. So I think that, that knowledge to work in an interdisciplinary thing where you're actually, working with different teams also helps you to develop your soft skills. So definitely, Madhuri, that is something that will help you in the long run. Okay. So moving forward to real world problem solving. So in academics, generally, the focus is in handling the control data sets, which are generally very clean, well structured, etc. Like when you're downloading some sort of data or you're taking it from an open source, those are generally very well structured. But when we are working in the industry and we are working with data that is coming out of the experiments or clinical trials, it is very, very, expected to have messy, incomplete, or biased kind of data, because here we are dealing with real world example. Like I will give you an example. When suppose if you're going to some sort of, a shopping mall, or if you're going to some sort of restaurant, you're getting a form where you are supposed to fill some sort of expectations, or, what would be your, what do you call, suggestions for them to perform better. So generally what we are doing, we are just filling our name, and we are just, marking certain things that are important to us, and then we are leaving the rest, right? So even in clinical trials, it is expected that we will find a lot of messy data, a lot of missing data. So now how to handle this? It is, I think, that for a person to understand that how the data will look like, first of all, it is important to gain the exposure to real world data sets via clinical trial repositories like clinicaltrials.gov or Project Datasphere. These are some things that I've mentioned over here. You can take a look. And what happens in the end is that once you are having a very clear understanding about how a person should apply the statistical knowledge into the biological field, understanding the different phases of a clinical trial or drug development, understanding the role of biostatistician in the process of drug development, understanding the regulatory and the compliance that is needed to work as a biostatistician within the industry, to understand the interdisciplinary interaction that a biostatistician is needed. If you get well versed before you're going into the industry after completing your academics, I think that it will really, really help you and give you an edge over the others if you're going with that understanding. As I said, that when I take interviews of freshers, sometimes it is very difficult to understand whether they have come to the interview, understanding exactly what is going to be the job role. So I think that it will give you an edge if and it will enhance your employability and give you an easy transition from academic to industry. So there are certain set of skills that we all need. Okay, so those skills are like technical skills, and then there are some non-technical skills. Okay, so in technical skills, when we are working as biostatisticians, I think, as I said, that programming is very, very necessary because we are dealing with a large amount of data. We want the data to be analyzed in a way that it can be traceable. At the same time, it can be reproducible because of the regulatory guidance. Okay, we have to make the data in such analysis in such a way that everything is very clear, everything is reproducible, and there's nothing vague in the way we are handling the data. Understanding different statistical techniques, like whether it is descriptive statistics, whether it is inferential statistics, whether it is Bayesian, whether it is, different types of, whether it is survival analysis. These things are very, very important when we are talking about the technical skills as far as the biostatistician goes. Understanding that how the data will look, understanding the data visualization, understanding the data is very, very important. When we are working with the biological data, understanding the data, what could be some sort of things that we can use, some sort of techniques that we can use. Suppose if it is like time to event data. So people who are from statistics background will immediately understand that, okay, time to event data, we know that what type of, test that we can use. We can use log rank test, we can use Kaplan-Meier plot. So understanding that, okay, this is a time to event kind of data. So what type of test we can use, what type of data visualizations we can create. Then understanding that how to manage the database. Just a second. Yeah, understanding how to manage the database. Okay. Then next is when we are talking about the non-technical skills, I think that communication is very, very important when it comes to biostatisticians, because here you are going to not only, talk to your own team of biostatisticians or programmers, but you're also going to speak to the sponsors being the pharmaceutical company who are awarding you the projects, or you are going to work to the regulatory people as well. So I think having a clear and concise communication is very, very important while working as a biostatistician in the industry. Next is problem solving. Now, problem solving is not something that is only limited to statistics. So I'm not saying that, okay, you have got a particular problem and you have to think only as a statistician. You have to understand that given the circumstances, what is the best solution that we can offer when it comes to the given problem, in the given timeline. So again, as I said, that our industry is highly regulated, and it is there are very strict timelines when we are talking about, any project. So understanding that how we can best offer our services as a biostatistician and helping to solve the problem is very, very necessary. then it comes to attention to detail. So, as I said, that there is a large amount of data. There are several things that are documents that are being created that are very highly regulated. We create some sort of output, statistical outputs, and other table listings and graphs that are reviewed and QC'd by the statistician, although they are created by the programmers. But I think that a statistician should understand that what we are presenting, how we are presenting, what is the impact of it, and be able to understand the analysis that we are creating, and whether the output that we have created, whether it is valid or not. So attention to detail is very much important while we are doing our work. Even one small mistake can really take you steps backwards if you're not paying attention to detail. Next is time management. So time management is also something that I think that it is applicable to each and every industry, or even while we are just students, because I think that managing our time, to be able to utilize our time productively, to be able to prioritize over the things that are important in our day-to-day life and in a working atmosphere is very much required. So each and every clinical trial, starting from the time that the protocol synopsis is created till the time that the expectation is there that the CSR, that is the clinical study report, should be out, it is all regulated, and there are some expectations, okay, that it should be out in 2 years. So in between that time frame, a statistician has to work with different departments in a multidisciplinary way, involving very many steps and many little steps in between. So I think that time management is also something that a biostatistician should be able to do. So if you're an aspiring biostatistician who's looking into working in a pharmaceutical or a clinical trial industry, there are certain things that we have to make sure that we understand. So as I said, that there is going to be a lot of uniqueness in all our parts. Like I have worked as a biostatistician in the CRO industry, so I had a lot of exposure to different therapeutic areas, but my expertise is in dermatology. Now, it is not because of by choice. It came as a because the companies that I worked in, I had maximum exposure to dermatology, and slowly I started understanding that, okay, how this type of therapeutic area works, what are the kind of indications. I developed my knowledge in such a way that I became a a person who specializes, a biostatistician who specializes in dermatology, because I've been involved into it for a very long time. Now, there are other biostatisticians who have got expertise in oncology. Some biostatisticians have expertise in cardiology. So all our paths are unique, but at the end of the day, there are certain core skills that are very important. So, to have a very strong statistical foundation. So, regardless of what sort of therapeutic area we are working on, regardless of what sort of disease we are working on, there are certain things that are always going to remain the same. That is in terms of statistical analysis. So, master some key statistical concepts such as survival analysis, Bayesian models, mixed effects, missing data handling, etc. So when we are working with real data, real clinical trial data, I think that having this type of knowledge will always give you an edge over the others. Understanding the design of experiment, whether it is a parallel design, whether it is a basket design, whether it is a crossover design, it will help you understand that what sort of statistical methodologies that you can apply. So having that strong foundation of statistics is very much important. Now, you must gain experience with clinical trial methodologies such as randomized controlled trials. What are RCTs? So, people who are generally working, who have statistics background, like bachelor's or master's in statistics, or people who are aspiring to come into the clinical trial industry, whether it is as a statistician, a data manager, a programmer, or things like that, to have that understanding that what is a randomized controlled trial. This is not something that everyone gets an exposure to while they're, a student. Understanding what is a phase 1 or 2 phase 4 kind of drug trials, that, okay, in phase 1, what happens? This is a journey of a drug, actually, that when a drug is being developed, it goes through several phases. In even involving preclinical trials also. Okay, so understanding that how the drug that is, there's a molecule. Okay, now the companies, like, they are creating some sort of protocol. They are creating a study in which we want to study that what that particular molecule, if used as a medicine, will impact in so and so disease. So how this drug is being developed and how it is going to come to the market. Now, having that sort of understanding, is very, very crucial for a person who is not only aiming to work as a biostatistician, but anything that involves clinical trials or pharmaceutical industry. Now, understanding what is equivalence and non-inferiority testing. Now, as the word suggests, equivalence is that two drugs. Suppose there is a drug that is already in there in the market. Suppose your Dolo 650, okay? And if there's another drug that is also, coming out for controlling your temperature due to fever. So suppose you want to see whether it works equivalent, whether it is equal to Dolo 650. So there is, like, there are those types of clinical trials also. Then there is a non-inferiority trial also, where you also keep a margin that, okay, my drug is not inferior to so and so drug that is already in the market by so and so percent of, or so and so amount of what do you call, a gap. Okay, so that is called as delta. Now, real world evidence. Now, real world evidence is something like, these are not prospective trials. Like generally in clinical trials, when we are understanding a sort of drug development thing, so we are always thinking that there are clinical trials happening where we are collecting the data, and it is something that is happening prospectively. But real world evidence is something that the data is already there. Like, suppose you have got a objective in your mind, and you collect that data that is already there in the repository, and based on those data, and based on some hypothesis that you're setting, you're kind of deriving that this is the real world evidence of the hypothesis that we are creating. Now, this type of data, like the real world evidence data, you can get from hospitals, from government agencies, and things like that. So I think that real world evidence is also gaining a lot of a lot of what should I say? It is gaining a lot of track in the industry, because these are also, like, ethical, from an ethical standpoint, and as well as in terms of the resources, because the data is already been collected, and based on hypothesis, you are actually trying to understand whether a particular set of problems or objectives that are there are being solved, because based on the real world evidence. So any sort of question on this slide?
Ma'am, hello.
Yes.
Ma'am, which software are mostly preferred for data visualization in healthcare industry?
So I think that Python is something that is the best these days. And yeah, R, Shiny, Python, I think those are the softwares that are gaining a lot of, popularity in the industry.
And data visualization also, ma'am.
Yes, yes, yes.
Somebody says like Power BI, Tableau, something like that.
Not in our industry.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Myself, Anagha.
Okay.
And ma'am, I have studied like bachelor's and master's in biochemistry.
Mhm.
And then I have a specialization from UK, which is in molecular medicine and cancer research.
Okay.
So I am I have almost 10 years of experience into clinical industry, but I wanted to know, like, I have come across this biostatistician, and as you said, it's a about the therapeutic areas, right? Like
Mhm.
oncology and dermatology. So I wanted to know what is the scope of this biostatistician in oncology, like this therapeutic area.
So I think that in each and every, therapeutic area, whether it is oncology, whether it is dermatology, whether it is infectious disease, whether it is immunology, I think that there are constant development of drugs that are going on, right? So there are several companies who are trying to bring about better solutions, tailored solutions also. So I think that regardless of which particular therapeutic area you are working on, I think that biostatistics applies to each and every therapeutic area. You cannot say, you cannot remove a biostatistician from a clinical trial for any sort of therapeutic area.
Okay. So does it involve a lot of maths and all that? Because like I'm not much into maths actually. I love biology.
So the thing is that, of course, like statistics is a branch of mathematics. So of course, there is going to be some sort of maths. There is going to be some sort of, understanding of some formulas. But you have to understand that when we are working, we are not in academics. We are not going to do some sort of, like permutations and combinations and things like that. There are softwares that are helping us to do that thing. But I think that why statistical or mathematical knowledge is important is to interpret or to understand that so and so data is there, how to work with that data and to apply those statistical or mathematical formulas into it and derive the desired results. That is where the mathematical formulas or statistical formulas are important. But while we are working in the industry, you won't see us doing a lot of calculations or anything like that, because there are softwares like statistical analysis software, that is SAS, R, these all have like, their own, what do you call, versions that kind of handle all these statistical analysis. So I hope that answers your question. Okay, moving on. So next is to develop proficiency in SAS. So as I said that, understanding what are the, regulatory requirements and understanding, getting familiar with SAS, getting like, having an understanding of what is CDISC standard, what is SDTM, what is ADAM, what is, the requirement to create like the SDTM, ADAM, what are my, is the CRF that is there in my study, is it compliant to CDISC? What do I have to create, use while I want to create CDISC data sets? What is the thing that I have to refer to? So having that sort of understanding, doing the ABC is very, very important. Like I will give you an example. I am a biostatistician, and my involvement with, creating CDISC data sets, creating like, annotating the CRF to create the, CDISC specification or SDTM specification, or, making the ADAM specification, doing the production programming of SDTM, ADAM, creating macros. This is, for a biostatistician, it is something limited. You don't really have to do it because there is a totally different team, like a statistical programming or a programming team that is, has the expertise of doing this thing. But I'll give you an example. What happened in is that, during my career, what happened is that there was a phase during COVID that, there were some 7 to 8 months where there were not a lot of, projects that were there with me. So what I did is that I involved myself into CDISC programming. Now, this is not the core, like, work experience that a biostatistician is required to have. But why I involved myself, like, voluntarily, I said that I want to do CDISC programming, is because when you are doing something from scratch, understanding that what are the regulatory requirements, why are there are regulatory requirements, what are the kind of documents that you require to refer and to have while creating the CDISC standards, how the specifications look, how the data sets look, how you create macros, how you create the ADAM data set. When you have got that hands-on experience to do these kind of things, like, programming things, then you understand the bigger picture of data. Okay. Otherwise, what happens generally in the industry is that the programmers are creating their CDISC, data sets like SDTM and ADAM and doing all the other documentation and all other things. But at the same time, like, the biostatisticians are just being handed over the data sets. So we don't necessarily go into the, like, the nitty-gritty of creating the data sets. But if you get a chance to understand, I think that it gives you an edge and it gives you an overall understanding that how these data sets are being created. So that is my own experience, and I myself volunteered to do this thing, which gave me an edge over the other biostatisticians, because I can say that, okay, I'm a biostatistician who can also do, the core programming and the core things that are needed for CDISC, SDTM ADAM programming. Then understanding like, the R and Python, that also like, one of the someone from the audience asked me about like, data visualization. So I think that R and Python are something that, these two things are something that are gaining a lot of popularity in our industry for data visualization. So that is also something that will help you if you have that sort of proficiency in programming. Next is that, what we can do when, we are not being offered that sort of structure in our academics, that what we can do. So there is like ICH, GCP, like good clinical practices that are easily available online. If you just type ICH, GCP guidelines and, select that what guidelines are applicable to your career path in the clinical trial industry. So for biostatisticians, I think ICH E3, E6 and E9 are the most important. And you can also find the FDA, EMA, and PMDA regulations. So these are some regulatory guidelines, like for certain, like, and these guidelines are for each and every therapeutic area for, how you're supposed to conduct a clinical trial, for statistics also. And again, CDISC is something that is very, very important. Then electronic records compliance, although it is something that is core to data management, but being a statistician, since you are working so much with the data management team and with the data, you should understand the 21 CFR Part 11, guideline of the regulatory board. So putting yourself, be curious. I would say that don't limit yourself to only like understanding like the statistical part of it or just the data part of it, or just understanding that how to bridge between the stats and the biology. But I would say that be curious and try to understand these things yourself. These things are not being offered to you in a structured way in your academic sessions. Then get like, hands-on knowledge, as I said, that, collaborate with other researchers. Like suppose I will give you an example that while I was working as a freelance biostatistician for a short period of time, I worked with several doctors who were working with geriatric nutrition and pediatric nutrition and tried to work with them to understand, that how this data is being collected from the geriatric and the pediatric patients and what sort of analysis I can do. So collaborate with people, like be curious, and, I think that even if you're not being offered these things, step up for yourself. Go and try to collaborate with other people and try to see that what you can bring to the table in terms of statistics. Then I would say that, take up research projects, like for your own curiosity. If you have got something like, I'm a very curious person. I have, I suffer from psoriasis. So I wanted to see that what sort of, new guidelines are coming for psoriasis. What are the new kind of, what do you call, treatments that are there in the industry, in the market for psoriasis. Try to see that what sort of data is being collected. I try to analyze the data myself, try to see what sort of experiments are being conducted, what is the design of those experiments, whether this is a, parallel study, whether it is a crossover study. Try to be curious about all these things. And then again, internships is always something that is always going to, help you in the long run, because it not only gives you an opportunity to understand the data and be, a statistician in a controlled kind of environment, but it also gives you a understanding of how to and why to, and, to behave in a, office environment, in a corporate kind of environment. So that is something that again is very, very useful. Now, again, learn about the drug development and the clinical trial processes, understand about what is, blinding, what is an interim analysis, what is a power analysis, what is a sample size calculation, what is, stratified randomization. Try to understand what are pharmacokinetics, pharmacodynamics, because although, we would like to separate, a statistician would like to separate these things from, biostatistics, but it cannot. These are certain things that will come time and again repeatedly in a biostatistician's career. Not only biostatistician's career, but even if you plan to become a programmer, or if you want to go into clinical data management, or if you want to even become a CRA, that is a clinical research associate, or someone who's a site personnel. I think these terms like randomization, stratified randomization, blinding, investigator blinding, double blinding, interim analysis, data monitoring committee, power analysis, pharmacokinetics, dynamics, bioavailability, inferiority, non-inferiority, PK/PD modeling. These are certain terms that are mentioned in the protocol. Now, protocol is a document that is a kind of a master document for each and every member who's a part of the clinical trial. And since these are the terminologies that are part of the clinical trial protocol, it is mandatory for a person who's working in pharmaceutical or clinical trials to understand these terminology. It is not limited to biostatistics only. Next is that to develop communication and collaborative skills. As I said, that we are not only working within the biostatistics team, but we are working with the clinical scientists, we are working with the medical writers, data managers, and regulatory teams. So we should have the practice of translating complex statistical results. Like, you are having something that is very, very technical, or there are some mathematical formulas that you are trying to explain. But a person who's a biostatistician should have this skill set to be able to translate those complex statistical results in a clear, actionable insight. Because people who are from medical background or people who are from biological background may or may not be able to understand those sort of terminologies that are very, very, statistical. Now, always try to write, improve your statistical analysis plan. Now, there are regulatory guidelines about writing a statistical analysis plan. But I would say, even when you are a student and when you are not working into a clinical trial or a pharmaceutical industry per se, suppose if you're doing some sort of analysis or you are doing some sort of project work, try to write a section of the analysis that you're going to perform in a clear, well-defined way, so that anyone, whether that person is from a layman, whether that person is totally out, not from your field, is able to understand that how this is being executed, whatever you're trying to do. So having that sort of communication and collaborative skill is also very, very important. Now, we have to always keep on staying updated with the industry trends. Now, as I said in the beginning of the session, it is not like if I give you some sort of advice or some sort of suggestion right now, it may or may not be true after 2 to 5 years. Okay. So because our industry and the trends in the industry are constantly kind of evolving for the better, evolving in alliance with the the government, in alliance with the regulatory boards. So we have to keep on being updated with the industry trends, and being if you follow organization like ASA, DIA, PSI, Fuse, okay, so these are some sort of associations or organizations that you can follow, so that you keep on being updated, because these platforms always keep on sharing whatever the latest news is that involves the industry trends. Now, again, read the FDA or EMA guidance and stay current on the new statistical methods. So that is very, very important. And then, although you are having a bachelor's or a master's of statistics, or a bachelor's or master's in biotechnology, BTech in biotechnology, bioinformatics, and you want to get into the field of, say, like programming, or you want to go into clinical data management, or you want to get into medical writing if you're a dentist, or things like that. So you have to understand that you cannot have only those kind of educational background and be ready to be to enter into the industry and be successful. So it is always good to enhance your base knowledge with something that is adding onto it. Like, suppose if you are someone who is very, very keen on programming, someone who's already good at programming, doing some sort of Python or SAS, SPSS. So you can enhance your skill set by also taking some sort of certification. If you are, if you want to become a clinical researcher, you can take a SOCRA or ACRP certification. if you're already a statistician, you can take a PhD or a MPhil in biostatistics. So there is always a need to do more and always to stay curious and try to do step up your game, if you want to be successful within the industry. Now, again, like, okay, these things were related to the technical skills. So are there any questions for the technical skills before I jump onto the soft skills that are required?
Hello, ma'am. I'm
Yes.
Sambit.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm doing advanced diploma in clinical science in Clini Launch. So, actually, which job is best suit for me, biostatistician or a SAS programmer? Which
So
will be the
what is your base degrees? What your bachelor's and master's in?
in biotechnology, and also I have a PG diploma in molecular biology,
Okay.
and also have experience in QC in biopharmaceuticals. So
Okay.
after that, I want to move to the clinical research. So
Okay.
I did advanced diploma in SAS programming.
Okay.
So I
So
saw so many job vacancies in Naukri. So mostly biostatistician and this clinical SAS program. So both the thing they require the SAS. So which will be the best suit for me? So I want to ask.
So for you, it will be SAS, it will be programming, or you can also go because SAS is not only limited to SAS programming, it is also like, an add-on skill if you're doing something in data management, like, if you're a data analyst or database manager, or like, database associate and things like that. So it is also important in that. So either you can take a job within the data management team or in a SAS programming or art programming or things like that. But since I say that because I've mentioned it twice now that in pharmaceutical and the CRO industry, if you go and check any eligibility criteria for a statistician, you will always see that there is a requirement for a person to be a master's in mathematics, statistics, or biostatistics, or PhD in statistics. So those are some requirements that are there. If you do not have that, then unfortunately you cannot become a statistician per se in the clinical trial industry. So either you do a master's in that, or you can take the other path of being involved in the clinical research industry via data management and programming job, which are also very, very fulfilling, because again, this is also a very complex type of what do you call a job, where you actually get a lot of insight about all the mini steps and all the steps that are involved within the clinical trial and the drug development process.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, good evening. This is Deepa. Ma'am, actually, two questions. One is like, as a recruiter, what do you expect from a fresher? Like, I have done advanced diploma in clinical science from CLRI.
Okay.
So, what is the expectation from a fresher?
So that is a very good question, and I hope that were a lot of you people who are wanting to know that. I know that the time is short, but I'm sure that this answer will really resonate with a lot of you. So when we are hiring actually, and we are hiring people who are freshers, the first thing that I would like to know is that whether or not they understand that where they are applying the job for. So maximum number of times there are people who are applying for the job without going through the job description, without understanding that in which industry they are applying the job for. Okay. And then the next thing is that suppose, okay, if you can I have your name again?
Deepa.
Deepa. So suppose, Deepa, you have applied for a job and you know the in and out of the job description, and you understand that what industry you have applied the job for, and you have, since you are already taking the professional course to, step up your game. So then my next question is that how relevant are you with the ongoing trends, and how much, I don't want you to know the entire subject 100%, but we would expect you to know that, okay, if you're applying for a data management job, you should understand that what is a CRF. That is the basic, that you should understand that what is a protocol, or if what are the data standards these days that are being used by the regulatory. Okay, so these are certain things that, suppose if I'm taking an interview of a biostatistician, I would ask that, okay, if you're a biostatistician, do you know anything about the phases of the clinical trial? Okay, and have you ever heard something regarding statistical analysis plan? Do you know anything about the guidelines like ICH, E3, 6, E9? Do you know at least basic some sort of programming? Do you know that? So we expect that much from the freshers, and we should see that they are willing to learn, because sometimes what happens is that we are interviewing some candidates and they already put it forward that we are not very keen on programming. But since everything is programming, whether you're doing data management, whether you're a biostatistician or a programmer, it will involve some sort of involvement of some sort of software. So I think that being adaptable to different things is also very, very important. So, and again, there's another thing that the experience that I have in recruiting is that once I interviewed a fresher, and the fresher was a biostatistician. It was a statistician, MSc statistics, but was very, very keen on programming. Okay. So while I was taking the interview, the candidate was time and again, going back to the programming things. So I said that, why don't you try to become a programmer rather than a statistician? Because I can see that your, inclination is towards the programming. Since that statistician or the candidate who I interviewed was like, accepting and adaptable to my suggestions, because having that sort of, experience since last 10 to 12 years within the industry, we can actually understand that where the keen areas are, where a person is keen in. So that person took the job of a statistical programmer, although the person had come for an interview of a statistician. So be adaptable, crack into the industry, and then, start somewhere and slowly develop your skills if you are not like, already there, in terms of having the knowledge.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. And I have one more question, ma'am.
Mhm.
Like all your slides, you were highlighting main point you were highlighting is getting hands-on experience with some projects.
Yes. Yes.
Like how can we project in our CV? Like how can we put it in our CV so that the recruiter feels, okay, this person has the knowledge about this? Because nowadays, like I'm going through so many these things, ma'am. I'm in search of job, so. Whenever I see any fresher openings, so they'll be like they want expertise in database. Like you should be having the knowledge of database, not only the theoretical knowledge, but also the practical exposure to the database, which is actually practically not possible for a fresher to have.
Mhm. So I
And
think that yes, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So along with that, even they'll ask something like proficiency in, along with SAS, you should have proficiency in R as well. And you should be knowing, having minimum experience of like 1 or 2 years, even though it is for fresher. They'll ask like minimum 1 or 2 years of experience as biostatistician or a SAS programmer. This is what is generally what I am seeing as a fresher when I'm applying for the job. And one more thing here I want to add on is I'm not a complete fresher. I took a career break in between, and before that, I was working as CRA for 5 years. So with that background and this SAS knowledge, I have upskilled myself with SAS. I'm unable to get any interview calls. So I was curious, like, what exactly is the recruiter's requirement?
So what you're mentioning is absolutely not for a fresher. So you said that hands-on knowledge in SAS for 2 years. So I think that I unfortunately that is an unfortunate situation, and I have not come across job descriptions and eligibility criteria such as that, because I don't look for fresher jobs these days. So, but the thing is that I understand where your fix is, and it is it is a gap, I think. And of course, a person cannot have a experience in SaaS for 2 years and be applying for fresher. So I think that first of all, that needs to be corrected by whosoever is creating that job description. Second of all, the thing is that you said that hands-on knowledge. See, when I was working, like if you in my experience, what I did is that for approximately 1.5 years, I was working with a CRO. After that, I came back to my own university and started teaching. But since my aim was to go back to the industry, like, as a biostatistician, so I had 8 to 9 months in my hand before I went on to my next job. I wanted to utilize that time most efficiently so that I can say that I am working as a freelance biostatistician or a programmer. Okay. So what I did is that I went to the educational institutes, as I said, that I went to the Medical College of MSc University of Baroda, and I collaborated out of like without any sort of compensation with a lot of doctors, because there are several things that are going on, at the university level, at the institution level, or if that is too much to ask for a person who already is doing some other type of job but is aspiring to be a SAS programmer. There are so many things that, like, now it is, in my days we did not get so much of like data online. So now the times have totally changed. So you can just download the data from your end on whatever, like you say that you are a CRA. So I'm sure that you must be having some sort of expertise in certain therapeutic area. Just download that sort of data and try to understand that what type of, you know, and then there are also CRFs, protocols, SAPs that are available. If you go to clinicaltrials.gov, all these documents are easily available. Now try to interpret that data into and try to work with that data either on SaaS if you have got a licensed version, or use R, and try to create a project in your, try to create a subsection of a SAP or some sort of statistical analysis which is not already there in the SAP, which is not already done. So you are doing a kind of exploratory analysis. Like for an example, if it is a diabetes trial with two, what do you call treatments, and they have done sort of a t-test on it. Now you try to see that whether you can do some other type of test, was the data normal? How can you try to still investigate the data apart from what is already there?
Okay.
I
Alternate.
would like to add something here. So before that, it is very happy to see this type of sessions from Clini Launch. Myself, Trishul, and I have around 15 years of experience into clinical data management here, and I'm working as a expert SDTM specialist for Bayer Pharmaceuticals. So for the question what she asked. So we have been doing so many interviews for the freshers, but the thing is we expect people to come out for an interview with the knowledge of having some, they have to do some groundwork in terms of what they know in SDTM, what they know about the CRFs, and how the data is collected. So to help with that, we have a lot of documents in CDISC section, CDISC site. The important thing is SDTM IG, which I mentioned in the chat. So that is one of the very important document. It will help you with the section how to read for the newcomers who are going to read. So it will give you the details about the data, and it is not the real world data, but it will give so many examples for each and every domain. So when we are going to interview the freshers, we are expecting from them whether they at least we expect them to have some understanding about the domains, protocols, and how they interpret the data. So maybe this help your question. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Ma'am?
Yes.
Myself, Chetan. I took a advanced diploma in clinical science.
Mhm.
I wanted to know about this. Recently, they were asking about the certification. Being certified is given extra push for our resume or what, ma'am? Because nowadays, even for the entry level, also they were asking a certification. Those who are from non-background, it will be helpful or what, ma'am?
See, having the certification will give the interviewers and the hiring manager kind of validity to your, what you have mentioned already. So suppose if I say that I have like SaaS knowledge, but if I say that I'm certified in SaaS, then it kind of gives you the validation that you already know the topic. So I think that it definitely gives you a push when, at least when it comes to hiring of a biostatistician or statistical programmer. For sure. I would always prefer the candidates who already have got a certification.
Hello, good evening, ma'am. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yes,
Hello, am I audible, ma'am?
yes, you are.
Actually, ma'am, I did M.Pharm in pharmaceutics, and right now I am in the formulation development. But from initial days, my core interest was in clinical field. But as in a university, everyone suggested that for getting a job in India and you must have go with the pharmaceutics. So I did that, and by the God grace, I am at good company and having good salary also. Now I did SAS diploma course. So now onwards, suppose I am getting it difficult to switch from my field to SAS because I am unable to get any calls from anywhere. My question is, suppose I am giving my 100% in learning coding in SAS and whatever it is. So what are the things I need to do so that my resume will get shortlisted? And because I will give my hard whatever the that is in my hand to learn SAS coding and all. But the point is, if I am unable to get shortlisted anywhere, so what's the use and how it can we can minimize that and we can get into the industry?
Sure. So may I know your name again, please?
Amanullah Haider, ma'am.
Okay. So Heather, the thing is that what I would advise you in this situation, since you say that you are already placed in a very good company and you are doing well within your job, there are certain things that we can do when we are trying to switch between different competencies. Like if suppose I'm working as a biostatistician, but these days I'm more interested in marketing and business development. Suppose if I go ahead and try to enroll myself, like I try to become a BD kind of candidate for a different company, I will have to start from the scratch, right? Because I will have to go for a fresher's job. But what I am trying to do within my organization, where I've already established myself as a biostatistician, is trying to get some sort of knowledge and some sort of exposure into business development and marketing, and trying to gain knowledge there, and maybe do some sort of within organization interdepartment change. So if your company is allowing that or facilitating that, so I
No,
think that could be a very good option.
no, my company will not allow for interchange.
So in that case, I'm like, if there are some other people who would like to, give inputs to this question, then, please go ahead, because I think that, yes, when you are already working as a professional with a different type of domain and then you want to switch, then you have to start with the same level as the other people are doing, because essentially you are starting at the same level. You are doing like base SAS or clinical SAS diploma and then starting at the same level. So your competency in that particular chosen path is going to be, at par with the other people. So you will not necessarily get the use of those years that you have spent already in your core domain.
Exactly. That is what my question is. Suppose
Hi, Heather.
I want to
Shweta this side. I'm so sorry to cut you. I mean, it is already post the time that Madam had taken from her schedule to have this conversation with the students. Let's not digress, and specifically to for in regards to your career opportunity and placement support. We have a complete placement team, and I'll put in a request, and they'll connect back with you to do a proper talent mapping for your skill sets and align organizations based on the same.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yes. Shrutimita ma'am, I mean, we can continue and
Sure.
yes, thank you so much, ma'am.
So I'll not take much time with you guys, but I just wanted to also touch base on the soft skills, because again, along with the technical skills, it is very, very important to have communication skills. And, when you are talking about statisticians, because this, particular session is for statisticians. So explaining statistics to the non-statisticians, like, to the clinicians, to the medical writers, to the regulatory teams, and to translate again the set of statistical techniques that you are using into more actionable insights for the people who are not from the statistical background. So, our general thing is that we should try to explain the statistical concepts in layman terms. Then we should try to, provide concise summaries, not trying to, there is a particular term that we are trying to abuse the data by analyzing it so much that at the end we really do not understand that what should be the interpretation. So we should provide some sort of concise summaries of the statistical finding in the statistical analysis plan and in the clinical study report, and also improve our presentation skills while we are meeting with the sponsors, because again, as I said, that statisticians are supposed to deal with a lot of different departments and especially with the sponsors. So when we are trying to make the sponsors or the people who are at the regulatory end understand what we are trying to justify in terms of the choice of our statistical techniques, it is very, very important to have our presentation skill sets and also communication. Again, that attention to detail and quality control and regulatory compliance, it is very, very important to always double check our SAS outputs or whatever outputs we are creating using our R or Python software, and also kind of check for the accuracy of the statistical reports, because all these things are all something that is submitted to the regulatory. So any sort of a miss from the biostatistician is going to take us a lot of steps backwards. Then always develop a good coding habit. So when we are writing a code, the major thing, that is one of the key things that ICH emphasizes on, is the reproducibility. So whatever you're creating in terms of code, it is something that if X person is creating it and if Y person has to rerun it to produce the same results, we should be able to reproduce it in the same way. So having good coding habits is also very, very essential. Next is to always use version control when we are, we are doing some sort of programming and coding, so that we can understand that, okay, what are the changes that we have made in the code since the last time. Like, for example, we have got interim analysis, we have got data cuts in between, we have got DMC meetings where we have to give some sort of, outputs that are required for the committees to make a decision whether the clinical trial will go on or stop for futility or things like that. So in that case, we have to make some sort of changes in between, because that is not complete data. So using version control when we are doing some sort of programming and having that sort of what do you call audit trail is very, very important. Next is time management and handling tight timelines. That is always, try to prioritize your task. Always try to break down the task in manageable steps so that you're not overburning yourself. Because as I said that, it is a very regulatory controlled kind of job, which has got strict deadlines, and also there's a lot of QC pressure. Next is teamwork and cross-functional collaboration. Always make sure that you have clean data for analysis by, coordinating with the clinical data managers. Always try to help interpret the statistical findings for the clinical study reports, which are very, very crucial, with the medical writers. Always provide justification to your choice of statistical technique for a drug approval to the regulatory team, and always work together with the SAS programmers for the clinical trial data sets in accordance with the CDIS standards of SDTM ADAM. So take part in group projects or study groups, which will always help you to understand that what other people are doing. Give and receive feedback in terms of whether the chain of communication and the flow of the collaborative work that you are doing, it is being done properly or not. And try to join the CRO industry events in terms of even as students, you can join a lot of different platforms that are going on in the industry, like ISCR is one of them, taking membership of ISCR for, being able to participate in these type of conferences. We get to know a lot of things that are ongoing in the industry, what sort of industry trends are going on, what are the important, updates that are going on. And not only updates, but something that is have been kind of used as a groundwork since many years. Just brushing up on those things also kind of helps you. Having that sort of, visibility and also being able to participate at different events also makes you have an edge over the others, so that you are more aware of the things that are going on within your professional circle. Next is that, as I said, that, study the ICH GCP guidelines, always have good statistical practices when trying to analyze the data. Don't over-analyze it. Use the appropriate statistical test by understanding the kind of, study design that you are using. So depending upon your study design also, your statistical techniques change. So have an understanding of all these correlated things, like study design, the statistical test that you are using, how it is going to impact the, power of your study and things like that. Always ensure that the results are and the analysis that you are creating is transparent and it is reproducible. So strong communication and collaboration will make you a valuable team player. Professional communication that is clear, polite, and to the point. When you're working in a professional atmosphere, be very concise with your communication skill. Always be open to feedback and always try to do more. Be able to manage your time and adapt yourself to the ever-changing trends of the industry, because I think that it is very important in our fast-paced industry. Try to have the problem-solving skills, not only as a part of statistics or programming or data management, but also in a given situation, when there's a project that is going on, there could be several scenarios where you would have to step up and take the roles and responsibilities of others and try to see that how you can still make it work. So always have the problem solving skills. It is very important to always respect the times and deadlines. So be punctual, and it is very important to not waste other people's time. Maintain workplace ethics when we are working in a in a corporate, whether we are working in a company or any organization for that matter. Try to refrain from the tittle tattle and maintain confidentiality and to the point talks. Be a team player. It is a very important thing. Always let others speak. Let others also give you feedback and provide suggestions, and keep learning and adapting. Always be able to take feedback and improve continuously. And I think that one of the key skills that I have not exactly put in the bullet point is leadership. Now, people generally think that leadership skill is only something that can be taken on by the people who have got a lot of experience within the industry or in any organization, but it is not so. Even people who are just starting their career can take leadership qualities by providing some sort of innovations, by providing some sort of improvement in the processes, by trying to keep the things together within a team. So leadership quality is not something that is you can only achieve after 20 years 30 years within the industry, but also from the first day that you're starting your work. So I think that I have covered all these things, that how a biostatistician interacts with other department. It will be available within the slides. You can go through it at your when you have time. And if there are any questions, then please go ahead, shoot them.
Hello, ma'am. This is Varun.
Yes.
Ma'am, I am studying B Pharmacy fourth year now. Present. I want to know as a fresher, what will be the knowledge and certifications as clinical SAS programmer to be standard from the normal people.
Sorry, can you repeat?
I am Varun, ma'am. I am studying B Pharmacy final year.
Okay.
I took diploma in clinical SAS. So as a fresher, what is the knowledge of practical and theoretical, and
So
what are the certifications need? to be
Yeah.
standard out from the normal people.
Okay, so I think that you're already very well placed because you have got the knowledge of pharmaceutical sciences because you're already B Pharm, and then you're taking the clinical SAS programming course, so which will also enhance your understanding of the data. I think that I think Trishul was there who mentioned that having that understanding of CDISC and the regulatory guidelines will put you ahead of the crowd. If you have that knowledge. So yeah, that would be my suggestion.
Thank you.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Pranamya, and I want to know that many candidates meet the eligibility criteria for roles, yet they do not get shortlisted. I am someone looking to enter the industry, and I have noticed that freshers or those without prior experience often face even more difficulty. Could you share insights into the key factors beyond eligibility that recruiters consider during the shortlisting process? Or additionally, what are the best ways for someone like me to gain relevant experience and improve my chances of getting shortlisted?
So you are already a part of Clini Launch, so which should already keep you ahead of the crowd because you're taking some sort of professional course. Apart from that, all the things that I mentioned already, that having some sort of knowledge over the existing trends and regulatory guidelines that we need. Like if suppose you're doing SAS, then I think that you should be aware of the CDISC standards if you know a little bit of SAS, but then at least having some sort of proficiency in R would be good. Having some sort of hands-on knowledge on any project, internship, or even if you can do some sort of collaborative research with any person from a educational institute or some medical institute will always give you an edge over the others. So that is how I bagged my first role in Max Neiman by it was a campus recruitment, but at the same time I was always working with the foods and nutrition department of MSc University Baroda, and I was working with them in a collaborative research. So I added those things inside my CV. That is why I got shortlisted.
Thank you.
Students, any more questions? Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, Shruti.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for the patience. You took out 2 hours from your busy schedule. It means a lot, and I am sure these students have taken a lot of insights from this session, and we are actually thrilled. To have you for this session today, and we look forward to having many more such collaborative sessions for these students, and also perhaps if you are in Bangalore, whenever maybe we would like to host a talk physically with these students for them to have a better understanding, and also for you to have an idea as to what Clini Launch does. So before we wrap it up, I would like to ask you a little bit. How was your experience with this session today, and any messages for these young healthcare professionals?
So I think that my experience was pretty good. I always enjoy a very interactive session. I don't like it like one-side bombarding. And I am, as I said that in my introduction, that I am a constant learner. So I think that I'm also learning from these people because I understand that now getting into the industry is harder than ever, because I think that there's a lot of specialities that are, coming forward, and, everyone wants the best, and they want to pick the people from the academia, or from they want people in the industry who are specialized, who understand things. So it is not as easy as it was in our days. But at the same time, I would also say that there is an advantage to the students these days, because in our times there were very limited things like that we could do. either we could physically go to certain institutes. As I mentioned, we could physically do certain things, but now everything is like online. You can really take advantage of the information burst that we have these days about the data, about like artificial intelligence. You can easily learn modeling. You can have there are so many online platforms that are, Udemy is there, Coursera is there. So many things are there that are offering even very short courses that can actually enhance your visibility and also your chances to get recruited. So although it may be a little difficult, but at the same time, I think that these people really have got a better advantage that we had. And then at the end of the day, it's the what you want to chase that is important. If you want a job and if you want to be placed as a biostatistician, as a clinical data management or manager or anything like that, then you have to actually work to get that. It's not something that is going to come to you very easily. And I understand for a fresher, it is always difficult. But I think that to have that sort of, chasing what you need is very, very important. And then aligning your, experience and your CV so that you can get that job. So it's not like, you are trying to get a clinical data manager job, but you're talking about biostatistics. So that should align. So first be clear what you want. So that is like my feedback. And of course, yeah, I would definitely like to have a face-to-face meeting if at all possible in Bangalore. I think that I always enjoy that more. And I would love to have a session face-to-face with the students.
Absolutely. We would be absolutely thrilled to host you for the same. And I would certainly circle back with you with these schedules to check your availability. And we have already started getting feedbacks about your session today, and they are over the top excellent. I will share with you over the email.
I just went too fast, I believe. I just wanted to cover so much, and 1 hour was too little, and of course, I went 1 hour more. So
that is fine. I was a little concerned. It should not hamper your rest of the day, since you had you have spared an hour's time. But yes, we would certainly be thrilled to host you in person next time, and I will certainly connect back with you soon.
Sure.
And thank you so much, ma'am, for this
Thank you.
session. It was very insightful. Me, as a person who is not even from the biostatistics domain, it was very easy for me to understand the concepts and everything you mentioned. So students, the most important takeaway apart from the technicalities is that the communication part has to be very important, which she emphasized a lot. So thank you so much, ma'am, and have a wonderful evening
Thank
ahead.
you for having me.
It was an
Thank you,
absolute
everyone.
delight, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you,
a good rest of your evening. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye, ma'am.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you so
you.
much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.